My name's Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today I'm going to show you the 19 singers that the legendary ZZ Top guitarist and vocalist Billy Gibbons said are the best of all time. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Well, back in 2008, Rolling Stone magazine listed the best singers of all time. But to come up with the list, a lot of people voted, including a few famous artists, and Gibbons was one of them. So I'm going to show you right now the 19 singers that Billy voted for, and Rolling Stone magazine released this list at the time. And the position number 19 is Bill Medley, who was one of the half of the Righteous Brothers. You might know him for one of the biggest hits of all time for sure. You've Lost That Loving Feeling, for example. Incredible song. On position number 18, he chose Johnny Cash, probably the most rock and roll country artist of all time, right? Incredible guitar, incredible singer, and an incredible songwriter as well. And you're gonna see in this list some really interesting artists, even heavy metal artists that Gibbons listed. Position number 17. The Godfather of Soul, Mr. Dynamite, Soul Brother #1. These are some of the nicknames the incredible James Brown had, and he's the central part of funk music for sure. One of the most important musicians of the 20th century. Position number 16, Hogan Wolf, one of the godfathers of blues music for sure. One of the biggest ones of all time, one of the most influential ones of all time. And it's interesting because Gibbons was born in Texas, and many of these incredible blues musicians used to play there a lot. So he had the chance to see many of them when he was still a kid. And, you know, he grew up listening to them, not only listening to them, but watching them playing live. Number 15, he chose another incredible country artist, one of the most important of all time, Mr. Hank Williams. He is certainly as well, just like James Brown and probably almost all the others we're going to talk about here, one of the most influential and important musicians of the 20th century. Number 14, he chose Mavis Staples, who is also one of Bob Dylan's favorite singers. She was part of the family group, the Staples Singers, but she also became famous, achieved fame as a solo artist. Number 13, Johnny Mitchell, one of the most influential folk rock musicians of all time for sure. He's a big fan of Johnny as well. Number 12, now we're gonna talk about a hard rock vocalist, essentially, Mr. Robert Plant, the vocalist for Led Zeppelin, but obviously during his solo career, he recorded a huge variety of other music genres. So I don't see Robert Plant only as a hard rock vocalist and as the vocalist of Led Zeppelin. He has a lot of different sides, and he proved that on his solo career. That is also amazing. Number 11, another incredible blues musician, Mr. B.B. King, and Gibbons had the chance to not only play with him but to know him, and Gibbons gave him an advice for his strings. For example, Gibbons ended up changing the guitar strings after a conversation with B.B. King, and they became really good friends. Reached the top 10, and now you're gonna see some really interesting different artists that you would not expect probably that Gibbons liked. Number 10, Mrs. Sheryl Crow, incredible American musician. You know, she even could be considered a pop star, I would say, because she really reached mainstream pop when she first appeared on the first albums, and her music, she's also an actress, and her music mixes pop, rock, country, jazz, and blues. I mean, she's quite a versatile artist. And number 9, he actually put two singers together, and it's quite interesting, his picks. because on the position number 9, he chose Sammy Hagar, the Montrose vocalist, the Van Halen vocalist, and Elvis Presley. He decided to put both of them on the position number 9. And position number 8, he voted for himself. Mr. Billy Gibbons voted for him. He thinks he's the best. He's on the top 10 of the greatest singers of all time, but obviously he just voted for him to see if he would appear among the 100 list of the 100 best that Rolling Stone did after Ozzy Osbourne did the same thing. He put himself among the top 10. And if you want to see his video, you can go to the description or click right here and you're going to see Ozzy's list, just like Bruce Springsteen and also James Hetfield. We already recorded videos about these other lists, about these artists. Position number 7, Mr. Ray Charles, and he was in the first position of Bruce Springsteen's list. He's one of the most important American musicians of all time for sure. And I mean, he's a pioneer. He he played gospel music, rhythm and blues, jazz, you name it. I mean, he combined even blues music and many other styles in his music. Just a complete and incredible artist. And now number 6, I think, is the most surprising pick, which is Paul Dayano, the now late singer of Iron Maiden. He was the vocalist of Iron Maiden from 1978, if I'm not mistaken, or 79 until 1981 when he was fired. He was the voice of Iron Maiden on their first 2 albums, Iron Maiden released in 1980 and Killers released in 1981. And I mean, Gibbons, if you look at ZZ Top, you're gonna say, oh, he's a blues man and he likes a little bit of blues rock, maybe a little bit of hard rock music, but he's into heavy metal and he's also into hip hop and rap. He listens to everything. And that's the interesting thing about Billy Gibbons. He likes a lot of different music, and you can see a few of those influences in the music of ZZ Top and his solo music as well. We reached the top 5, and you're gonna see some, more obvious choices. Position number 5, Miss Greg Alman from the Alman Brothers Band. One of the most incredible musicians of all time from this style of music for sure. Tragically, he lost his incredible brother, the guitarist Dwayne Alban, at an early age, but he carried it on with the band and they released many incredible stuff over the decades. And he sadly also passed away a few years ago. Position number 4, he chose Bobby Blue Band and Robert Calvin Bland. He was known as Bobby Blue Band. He was his professional name, and he used to mix gospel with blues, R&B. So many incredible songs he released over the years. And if you don't know his music, you should check it out. It's really, really good. And we reached the top 3. Position number 3, Mr. Brian Wilson, the mastermind behind the Beach Boys, a fundamental part of the band, the mastermind behind their groundbreaking 1966 album Pet Sounds, and one of the biggest music geniuses of all time for sure. And his voice is just amazing as well. I really like his voice, and it fits perfectly with all the harmonies and all the other voices of the Beach Boys. On the second position, he chose Mr. Steve Winwood, which I think, among, for example, alongside Stevie Wonder, I mean, Stevie Winwood started his career at an early age when he was still a teenager as part of the Spencer Davis Group. And what a voice he already had. I mean, the first big hits of his career with the Spencer Davis Group, he was still a teenager. And later on, he was a member of Traffic, and then he achieved fame as a solo artist and had really big hits in the 80s and in the late 70s as well, which were quite different from the kind of music he was doing before. So I really think it's quite interesting because, you know, the decades of his career are much bigger than most of the musicians, just like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder had his first hit when he was still a kid, for example. And position number 1, he chose Mr. Little Richard, the late legendary Little Richard, one of the most influential artists of all time, one of the godfathers of rock and roll music, another artist that mixed a lot of different genres, rock and roll, gospel, rhythm and blues, and you name it. I mean, he was certainly one of the most versatile musicians, and rock and roll would have never been the same without Little Richard, for sure. And this is these are the 19 best singers of all time according to Billy Gibbons. And if you want to read more, you can visit the article we wrote about this at rockandrollgarage.com. And don't forget to watch the other lists: Bruce Springsteen, James Hetfield, and many others that we already talked about. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Okay, thank you for watching, and I see you later.